The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
They call this place the Paperclip. With its long straightaways and tight corners, Martinsville Speedway is one of the toughest tracks to manage in all of stock car racing. Built in Ridgeway, Virginia in the late 1940s, this short track will test every driver's patience all the way to the checkered flag. Tonight, the PRL goes to NASCAR from NASCAR's largest circuit to its smallest. It's time to sit back and strap in. It's the Martinsville 250 on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hello everybody and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel for round 35 of the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series for today's running of the Martinsville 250. I'm Justin Prince and alongside me in the booth tonight is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes we've got Amjad Yamid sitting back in the company director's chair, and our camera sets, as always, are provided by Dougie Beard. So Sean, this track is definitely an all-time favorite for a lot of stock car racing fans. This in fact is the only original track to be a part of NASCAR since the organization founded in 1948. Martinsville is known for its exciting action in its tight confines, and a very recent memory tells us that should and could be the same case tonight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about our track tonight in Martinsville?
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ridgeway, Virginia. You know, they opened this old haunt back in 1947. It's the first paved oval track in NASCAR history. Yeah, the first, because remember, they started on the beach. Now, it's also the only NASCAR oval track in the entire circuit to have asphalt surfaces on the straightaways and concrete over the turns. So keep an eye on that. You're looking down, you can see that there, that view. It's a combination of long straightaways and flat, narrow turns, and it makes it really hard on the braking going into these turns. And smooth acceleration is a must here to lay that grip down and the power. That's where the race is won in these straightaways and maybe even in the turns. We'll see. Now, the winners of the NASCAR Cup Series and the Truck Series and Wheel of Modified events receive a long case clock as a trophy. It's kind of a nod to Martinsville's famous furniture history. We won't be giving one of those away tonight, but we will be crowning a winner for certain here in Victory Lane. The best way to get an idea what this place is really like is to jump on board the GSRC Monster Energy Cup car and take a lap around Martinsville.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. My name is Brian Yazik and I'll be taking you for a spin around legendary Martinsville Speedway in the GSRC Chevrolet SS. Martinsville is all about rolling the middle of the corner and then out into the exit. That's where you're going to win today. So, going down into turn one, you're going to try to float it down there and stick close to that curbing as possible. Not too close, because if you hit it, the car will actually jump up and basically spin out on you. Once again, going back down into turn three, find the curbing, back into the throttle, and then right back out on the straightaway. Your braking marker is going to be right about that Sprint Cup sign on the wall. Some people choose to brake right at it, some choose to brake right after it. That's just the varying degrees of driving styles that are out there. Driving down into turn three, once again, float in the middle of the corner. Don't get it too much. The car will wash out a little bit if you try to get too aggressive with it. That's what happened right there. Back down into turn one. You're going to try to float it down in there. This is a little too high, but you can get a straight shot off coming off of the corner there. Once again, back down into turn 3, floating it in there, letting the car roll really nice through the middle, back onto the gas hard, coming on to the exit of the corner, and right under the start-finish line one more time. You might see guys run that second lane right up there, right above the seams, as the run wears on and the tires wear out, but I don't know if it's going to be too productive, but people will certainly try. Back down into turn 4 again, off, back underneath the start-finish line, and you've completed your time around Martinsville Speedway. It's going to be a great race today. Tempers are probably going to flare, and guys, the winner of this race is going to be the one with the least crinkled up car. So, my name was Brian Yazik, and this was Martinsville Speedway.
That was Brian Yazik with our GSRC lap guide here for Martinsville. Meanwhile, the Patriot Fire Cup Series is continuing its race to the finish line for the 2017 season. So, Sean, what are the point standings looking like coming into tonight's event?
Well, I will tell you this. They're looking a lot better for Brian Yazik now than they were then. And when I say then, I mean last week. Yazik now in pretty solid command. Here's a come down the stretch. 75 points to the good. Tommy Ryan looking pretty sweet there in second. Ricky Harden's got a long way to catch him in third. Now, Tyler Dalton, this is what we're going to be talking about in a little bit here, Justin. Look what's going on here. Third, back to seventh. We've got a log jam, a literal log jam. Harden, Dalton, Grahula, Nick Cohan, Thomas George. It belongs to any one of these drivers. Really, that's the real battle in the championship right now. And one we're going to follow, Jeff Ward. Listen, Ward's got a really good chance to get himself into the top 5 before it's all said and done with. Tim Johnson a little too far back and Drew Carroll even further. So really what we're looking at is that 3rd through 8th position here as we come down the stretch. Let's look at the fall standings real quick because that's a little bit different. It's a lot different, actually. Jeff Ward is the man. Jeff Ward's there as a result of this just incredible run of victories he's had here in the fall season. I believe Jeff's got 10 or 11 wins this season. Most of them coming here in this fall segment. Tommy Ryan, a close second. Yazik, with some bad luck, he's back to 3rd, actually. Clinging to a chance here to still win this fall championship, but we'll see. Ricky Harden in 4th. Tyler Dalton in 5th. They're pretty close there. A good battle 6th through, let's say, about 8th. We have George Hayes, Woody Mahan, James Grahula all looking for more, and Devin Cannon there in 10th. Brody Hayes having a great fall segment, Justin.
Yes, definitely interesting to see there on your screen for sure, especially in that fall standings. We'll get back to those season standings in just a few moments here, but of course, today's race, to give you some details as we show Brody Hayes practice with about 2 minutes to go. Today's race, of course, has default late afternoon setup, of course. 250 laps is today's event. The halfway point, of course, will be at lap 25 for the American Pool Supply Halfway Award, which will be a big factor as well, potentially, for that overall season's battle when you think about it in terms of the bonus points given out at that halfway award. And of course, it's 40% track state once again with the full fuel load as per standard. So what is going on with the weather meanwhile? Because the last time we were here, it was a bit of a warmer track, wasn't it?
Excuse me there. Yes, it was. Boy, talk about stumbling out of the gate there. It was much warmer. It's actually partly cloudy and 72 degrees today on track. I think we're in for a real good one here. I see horsepower. I see side-by-side battling in my future, in all of our futures. I see cars still having trouble getting off of turn 4. A lot of them, actually. It's kind of been the universal theme of practice. So I'd say for as low as the temperatures may seem, grip may still be an issue here at Martinsville. I think it's been an issue here since the dawn of man. I don't think it'll be much different today. But what I do expect is some really, really good times. Scott Eckridge on the top of the board in practice right now with an 18.6. This 0.526 mile track in what is about a 3,800 pound stock car. That's a pretty sharp time, man.
Yeah, that is a pretty sharp time. 2 drivers able to get into that 18.6 range so far in this practice session with about 13 seconds to go. But one thing to point, as you mentioned, there is that interesting points battle. you discussed a little bit, going through those standings that are in 3rd to 7th with Ricky Harden, Tyler Dalton, James Krahula, Nick Cohan, and Thomas George. If you're one of these drivers right now coming into today, what are you thinking, especially at a track like Martinsville with potentially, at the very least, 21 cars going to be on track tonight?
I think right now I want to lock myself in a good qualifying time. I think that's just absolutely essential here. Stay up in the front and stay out of the mess here. So first, let's focus on a good qualifying time. And then second, I think you've got to really focus on consistency this evening and avoiding trouble. Trouble is what you don't need. DNFs, that can't happen. Finishes, laps down at the back of the field, that can't happen. You need consistency. You need a top 10 run. And you know what? Bonus points at the halfway point would be really, really sweet. You could pick some of those up. I think those go a long way to helping either pad your lead or make up ground on the guy you're chasing.
Looking on board on some of these shots right now for qualifying at the moment, James Krahula second on the board after his first time, as Devin Sarah's currently on top of those boards, just getting loose, now going to Tyler Dalton. But of course, with this kind of track, it requires a lot of patience, whether you're in traffic or on your own, because in some cases you're going to have to do a lot of brake control and throttle control coming to the entrances and let this car roll. Would you agree? And so forth with today, what would you basically do as a driver with the patience here?
Justin, treat her like a lady. Treat her well, she'll take care of you. Get a little out of shape with her and a little cross with her, and she'll come back and bite you. And I really mean that here at this track, because tires are a very, very easy thing to abuse. You'll get in too hot, you'll get on those brakes, you'll lock them up, throw a tremendous amount of heat to the tires early in a run. You don't mean to. Relax, take it easy. You have 250 laps to complete here tonight. You're not going to win this race in the first 50 laps, and guess what? You're not going to win it in the first 125 laps. But remember what we said, you want to get those good bonus points. So get the car to the end of this race, though. It's going to be a long night, and I preached it to the guys today in the woodshed. It was a very strange woodshed episode today, by the way. We'll move on. But I preached, be kind to your fellow man tonight, because again, this is 250 laps, and it can go one of two ways. It could be a really hard night, it could be a really nice night, and everybody can have fun. Let's see if we can get everybody to have fun tonight. We'll see what we can get done here.
That's a great point, especially at the end there. Of course, the PRL is a very competitive league, but it's also about having fun in these kind of races. Brian Yazik, meanwhile, getting 4th on the board, and a lot of different drivers trying to do what you said, try and get into that top 10 to manage the track position, because if you're outside that top 10, there's a long way to make it through a line of traffic, especially here at Martinsville, with this just being a half-mile circuit.
Yeah, and trouble will be easy to find. You know what else is, we've got 21 cars now. Mm-hmm. If the back of the field is off pace, it won't take long to catch up to them. So working through the traffic like we were talking about there, it's going to be just as important as dealing with the cars that are competing with you. So it goes back to what I said before about being a little patient. Don't put yourself in dangerous situations every lap around this track. It generally doesn't work out well when you do that. So I'll preach it all night. Take care of the car, take care of the car, take care of the car, and then try and go win this thing here at the end.
Now looking on Scott Eckridge as he reset just before he finished his first lap. This will be potentially his only recorded time and a chance to have a good qualifying lap. You see him digging into that bottom line and then hitting the gas, trying to make sure he doesn't get it loose on that exit at 18.720. That is enough to get you on the pole here at Martinsville, Sean.
Yeah, very sneaky little lap there by Scott Eckridge. That's really, really good stuff, man. He 5/1000ths of a second over Tommy Ryan. Tommy's just sitting there shaking his head right now, wondering what do I got to do here? Boy, that was impressive.
It definitely was an impressive lap, that's for sure, as that was one of the last few drivers. But one thing to point out, we talked about a lot with patience. We talked about a lot with the driving, of course. Another thing that's going to be a factor tonight is pit strategy, Sean. Such as when you go in. Do you take 2 tires? What if you go in during a green flag run? What are some of the factors going through some of these drivers' minds for pit strategy?
With the varying surfaces here, I just, boy, I'll tell you what, I think I'm taking tires every time I go down pit lane. I don't know if a 2-tire strategy is really going to help you here. I just think you'll get eaten up, with new tires versus anything resembling old. So I look for that. As far as when to come in, boy, you've got fuel all day long here. Do not eat a tremendous amount of fuel here, Justin. So we'll be interested to see what kind of strategies we have at play. Look for the unacceptable boys to go as long as they can. But I think it's time to hand out a little bit of hardware here for our pole award winner.
Exactly. It is a perfect time to do exactly that. It's time for your NP3 Designs Pole Award. And it's time to take a look at your pole sitter, Scott Eckridge, for Loud Pedal Motorsports Self. Talk us through this lap, Sean.
Well, you know what? He's going to run right up to the wall here, get a nice hot trip down the backstretch, and glide it down right on top of that yellow line there with a little bit of a curve. Scream it down the front stretch, again up against the wall, and then get it down tight on the turn. Drift up to the wall just a little bit, but that was a really fast lap there, and does it just there at the last minute. Scott Eckridge, congratulations on your MP3 Designs Pole Award tonight.
Yes, a well-deserved pole award. The race meeting is underway. Before we get to trackside for the national anthem, who are your picks, Sean, for tonight?
I didn't pick anybody in the woodshed today, but I'm going to pick somebody now. Give me Jeff Ward tonight. I've said it several times this season. We'll say it again. You want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I think Jeff Ward looking to put now a stranglehold on the fall segment. So here we go, Jeff.
Pardon me for putting you on the spot there, Sean, of course, for tonight.
I've been told I'm boring, but that's all right. I'll take
Personally,
that.
I'm interested in seeing a different kind of... Scott Eckridge, of course, came away with the truck race victory. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in victory lane, or somebody, for example, a Tommy Ryan, somehow managed their way to block him on that bottom side and come away with a victory. But with that, let's go to trackside for today's Invocation and National Anthem. And once again, a great performance of the national anthem right here for the United States of America. There is less than a minute to go before drivers start to take the grid. So basically, Sean, what is some of the key points you want to mention that we haven't discussed really before the drivers hit the track on the paperclip here tonight?
Well, one thing we didn't really talk about is pit road. Okay, now listen, it's a little tricky here at Martinsville. You don't have a very long entry into pit road, and you've got to know where it is, and you got to hit it right. So if we get the green flag pit stops tonight, when they peel off the track, it could be a bit of a mess. So you look for drivers calling out that pit stop. I don't think you're going to see anybody trying to catch anybody by surprise tonight, because if they do that, it may wind up being a race ender. Because I don't know if you mentioned this, Justin, you don't get any fast repairs here in the Premier Racing League in this Patriot Fire Cup Series. You run what you got, and if you wreck it, well, you got to drive it home. So be careful. They are starting to grid up now, Justin. I can't wait to see these 21 cars get cranked up here at Martinsville Speedway. You know, they just added lights this year, and haven't seen any chatter about it yet, but you've got to love the prospect of possibly having this track lit at some point here on the iRacing service.
I honestly cannot wait for that to happen. We've seen it in real life earlier this past weekend, in fact, in real life. But with that, it's time to go from real life to the virtual track. It's time for your starting grid. Let's start off and go two by a time, my friend Sean. With your first row, it's Scott Eckridge in the number 70 machine, starting alongside Tommy Ryan.
All right, row two, going to be Tyler Dalton and Jeff Ward.
Your points leader, Brian Yazik, is currently on the inside of row 3. Devin Serra starts on the outside.
And row 7, going to be unacceptable teammates Ricky Harden and James Krahula.
In row 5, it's Thomas George starting alongside Brody Hayes.
All right, row 6, going to be Troy Haight and Devin Cannon.
Woody Mahan's the last driver to record a time. Timothy Barnes will start alongside him in row number 7.
All right, row 8, Rich Jetty and Matt Murphy.
Hashtag Adam Blattell starts off in row 9 tonight. Gerald Livingston in number 64 starts on his outside in 18th.
All right, I'll take the last 3 here. John Wilco in 19th tonight. Stephen Herring, 20th, and hitting blackjack, number 66 WWE sponsored Monster Energy Cup car going to be Jonathan Lawrence tonight.
Yeah, we got a nice diverse field here tonight, Sean. 21 cars, as you mentioned here. One thing of note with that grid, Gerald Livingston has elected to start from the back tonight. The cars have started off their engines. They are going to do 2 pace laps before they get things going. And it's going to be a wild one for sure, 250 laps. And one thing to really note, the last time the Patriot Fire Cup Series came to Martinsville was for this spring's NP300. And Sean, just 11 of 33 cars finished on the lead lap in that race with 12 cautions and 56 pace laps. Josh Gruper went on to win that race, but what are we expecting caution-wise for tonight?
Maybe it would be better to ask the YouTube chat. They all seem to kind of have an idea. They've got a bit of a debate going over there. You know what, man? I think we'll see about the same number of cars on the lead lap when this thing is done. I just look at the field and I say, yeah, 11 cars on the lead lap sounds about right. Maybe a couple less, but we've got, 10, 13 less cars than we did that time. So, boy, how many cautions we're going to see tonight? I wouldn't be altogether shocked with, again, a fairly low car count. I wouldn't be shocked to see us get away with maybe 3 cautions this evening. I know that's highly optimistic, but the PRL boys have been sharp lately. They have not disappointed.
Yes, they have impressed a lot for sure. And with that, the pace car is off the track. The green flag is in the air. Scott Eckridge starts things off for the Martinsville 250. And Eckridge able to get a lot of space, single file for him. It's too wide right behind on him for third on back. As you see, still battling too wide. Tyler Dalton able to move to second on that bottom line. And Scott Eckridge will lead the first lap of 250 for tonight's race. And
Boy,
as you
Jeff,
can, pardon me there.
Go ahead, bud. Go.
I was just about to mention, you see a lot of that battling there. And you mentioned Jeff Ward having to tuck in now behind. You see behind Ricky Harden. It is hard, of course, here to try and make a move on the high side. We've seen it in recent times to start to work, but it is pretty tough here.
Boy, James Krahula had some trouble. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think he started from the pit for some reason. He's down a lap already. First in line for a lucky dog. Should we get a caution? I don't know what happened to James.
I just checked into that. He did, in fact, start from the pits. It may be a strategy call, who knows, in case of that first caution, because as you mentioned, he is in that position for the lucky dog. In case there is the quick caution, we are already 4 laps into this one, taking a look at third place with Brian Yazik.
I'm going to call it now a stupid strategy, James, if that's what you did. I'm thinking maybe something was wrong. He had something going on in the real world there that he needed to attend to and needed to start that way. But you know what? They've gone line to stern all the way around already.
Yeah, line to stern, that is the case, but it takes a lot of negotiation to try and make a move. You're going to have to essentially try and dive bomb into some of these corners if history proves right, really, as looking at this trouble in turns 3 and 4, Jeff Ward is around. Caution flag is out.
Yeah, it looks like he might have got a little help from Thomas George, maybe just a bit.
Now let's take a look at your GSRC replay here. We're going to see this right here. Jeff Ward having a check up in the middle of the corner there for Ricky Harding, gets bumped by Thomas George in the back, and around he goes. Woody Mahan almost bumps him on the left side of his quarter panel there, or side there, and we'll see this once again.
Yeah, not going to blame Thomas George here at all. It was more to do with the check up there. Jeff trying not to run Ricky over. Checked it up a little bit much. You know what? I think Jeff's going to be okay there, aside from having to shuffle all the way to the back of the field. Again, I don't think the car is going to be that badly affected. He does have some pretty good damage, actually, on the rear end. Probably won't be a factor here at Martinsville. I'll be a little more worried about the damage he has on that front grille. Hopefully nothing there blocking the airflow. Does not look to be. I think the car will be manageable. I think Jeff will be okay after this.
A majority of the damage with that, though, coming on Thomas George's front nodes there. Cars are pitting, 4 cars staying out for strategy, as everyone's going to start and take their tires here and now. Should be a 4-tire call here for just about everybody here. In fact, I believe it will be, as you see everyone raising up those tires, pitting quickly there, and the battle for pit exit is on. Brian Yazik first out of the pit lane.
And by the way, let me say this now. If James Grahula is to go on and win this race, then I look like an absolute fool for calling him stupid. So I'm sorry, James.
Yeah, you know why you're mentioning that? Because I believe we do have a Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog with Brutus here for James Grahula. With that quick caution, he'll now be back on the lead lap, as currently 19 cars are on track. Coastal Safety Auditor is your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment.
All right, and I'll put it out there now. If he wins this race, James, if you're listening, which I know you're not, but somebody else is listening for you, I'll buy him a steak dinner here if he can pull this one off. I'll be in Texas in a few weeks and I can take care of him. So.
And now I think you're making myself and a few others now hungry once again here on this great night here. 4 cars did stay out during this pit stop cycle here. The 4 cars being Scott Eckridge, Tyler Dalton, and Tommy Ryan and Brody Hayes. It's just about a 9-10 lap difference on tires, but how much of a factor will that be for the cars who did go into pit?
Oh, I think it's going to be decent. I mean, there's enough racing on those tires. I think it's going to make a small difference. Sad to report a couple drivers already out of this race, never even took the green flag. Adam Blattell and Jonathan Lawrence on the board here, not completing any laps. They, for whatever reasons, just did not get in the race. Shame to see them out. So we'll have 19 cars restart here.
And perfect time to mention that James Grahula is sent to the back of the field, of course, for that lucky dog. Cars all set to go. Pace cars off the track. And we're all set to go to bring back out that green flag. Eckridge on the inside, Dalton on the outside. Eckridge starts with the launch, and green flag up in the air. We're back underway at Martinsville. And Eckridge once again, another great start. 2 wide abreast. Right behind them, you see Tommy Ryan able to sneak by Tyler Dalton with that bottom line. And they're quickly going to bottoms. And Jeff Ward gave a little love tap to Brody Hayes there, an entrance of 3.
Ooh. Ward trying to rough up Brody just a little bit. Oh boy. Hey, poor Brian Yazik stuck up top right now. Really can't do anything with it. He's trying to win this drag race. Has to check up for Ward there on the top side. Ward almost loses it right in front of Ricky Harden. Oh, boy. Devin Serra there on the bottom in the 20.
Yeah, Ward able to still keep the position, really. Devin Serra currently right on behind him. That is currently what you're looking at. 8th position for Brian Yazik behind Serra. But Timothy Barnes looking to poke his nose underneath with Yazik trying to get the on a higher length for the exit. Barnes unable to hold it there. And looking through the rest of this field so far, Scott Eckridge able to pull away on that gap. As you see now, it's back to single file traffic. Scott Eckridge, as you see there, Sean, up to about a 0.7 of a second gap now over Tommy Ryan, growing quickly here on this short track. Just able to get the better exits, it seems, so far here. Going down to 66 miles per hour, then getting back on the loud pedal, as you put it, and about 100 miles per hour by the time he gets back down this 800-foot straightaway. And you see just behind them, it's getting pretty close for that battle. For 4th place, Brody Hayes having to hold off Ricky Harden here and trying to hang on to that bottom side.
Yeah. Ricky keeps thinking about it here, man. Just behind them, though, Jeff Ward. That's the next grouping. Ward, 6th on back. Ward holding him off right now, but it's Brian Yazik back here in 8th. He's really been trying to set up Devin Serra here for a couple laps. Nothing doing here so far, but look for Yazik to maybe try and make another move here. At Devin, if he can just get there to him. Devin runs it out wide. There we go. He left the door open for him, and Yazik can't put it in there.
Yeah, Yazik unable to really dig in enough to get on that bottom, and now Devin Serra, he's trying to make a move on Jeff Ward meanwhile. As Ward's been really trying on that high side, you see Yazik going pretty high, especially on exit of on 3 and 4 here to try and get a better runoff. As we got trouble, Jeff Ward's rear-ended up by Devin Serra. Caution flag is back out in turn number 2. And we're going to go to the GSRC replay. This one is going to be above Jeff Ward. And the action right here, Devin Serra, as we mentioned, was just trying to set up that pass while Brian Yazik was trying to do the same to Serra. And Serra getting bumped gets the bump behind. Ward goes around on the high side into turn 2. Caution flags out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Devin's brakes failed him a little bit there. He got a run at him, and you see it here from Ward's camera, and it wasn't a checkup. I mean, Ward was running a good line through the turn there, but Sarah's going to get into them there just enough to get that car turned around. And man, that is a tough deal for Ward there. He was on the older tires, obviously, maybe just a little bit slower because of that, but. Boy, Jeff finding trouble twice tonight, early on in this race.
Boy, he was also on older tires, slightly older tires, give him the benefit of the doubt, but it still was about a 10 lap difference on tires between those two cars. Just about everybody coming in here, and the race off pit road, as you're seeing on your screen, and it is coming out first, Scott Eckridge. And with that, we also have another lucky dog here for today. The second lucky dog, the Coastal Safety Auditors lucky dog. And Brutus will come back out and play this time with Backrow Motorsports' John Wilco. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. And John Wilco, he is currently 8 laps down. Make it now about 7 laps down with that lucky dog. We're going to have to check and see how he fell back that far off on that run.
Well, Ward's back out there. Got just a little bit of, maybe not much damage repair on the car. He is going to stay on the lead lap. Got a lot of work to do. If he's going to win it tonight, he's going to have to work even harder. Is he a lap down? You know what? Yeah. He is a lap down. He may have actually had some required repair in there after that latest incident.
Actually, a slight little correction there, Sean, really, because, of course, this is a half-mile circuit. As you see James Corhula now poking his way into the pits right behind him, and Ward moving to the high sides to prepare for the restart. Of course, it takes a while if you get spun around here to get back in the right direction, really, without going into oncoming traffic. So it's very likely the case that what happened here with Jeff Ward going a lap down here and having to take a lap to wait for a gap in traffic and to be able to get back going under caution here. And we got ourselves about just to end the caution here. Scott Eckridge on the inside this time. Tommy Ryan's on the outside. And Eckridge once again is the control car here. He'll go on an early start and get a big time gap, a half-second gap on the green flag. And we're back underway at the Martinsville 250. Ricky Harden diving immediately for second place on that bottom side and gets it right on back past Tommy Ryan. And Tommy Ryan will close the door on Brody Hayes. Everyone getting single file as soon as they can here as Eckridge continues to lead here. That is now 25 of the 27 laps led now by Scott.
Watching the back of the field get going here. Rich Jetty having a little bit of trouble getting off of turn 2. He pulls out all the way to the bottom. Allows Jeff Ward to get by. Jeff Ward has got Devin Serra right in front of him. Folks, pay attention to that. Troy Haight just up in front of them in the 82, and Troy looks to be trying to run a little bit different line around this track, which is probably got Devin and Jeff back there thinking about the type of move they'd like to pull on him here as they try and clear Troy Haight right now. Timothy Barnes up just ahead, battling with Matt Murphy, trying to get it done on the outside of the 09.
And Timothy Barnes actually tapping the left side of Matt Murphy there, which moves him going to step back behind Murphy, as you see there. No one wanting to give up that bottom. It is very hard if you try the high line. It is possible, it's just very, very hard to do here. That's why you're seeing all these cars not wanting to be that car that gives it up. Timothy Barnes now battling for position 4 for the 10th spot.
Boy, Rich Jetty again having trouble off turn 2 back there. He hangs on to it. Nice save. Matt Murphy looking awful squirrely right now there in the 11th spot, though. And, man, they are running up on him. Troy Haight, Devin Serra both starting to look a little bit nervous. Jeff Ward playing the patient game here behind. Not pressing too hard, just kind of letting it come to him.
Smart strategy here at a track like Martinsville. It's only lap 33 of 250 here for the Martinsville 250. As we continue to look at that battle for 11th position. Troy Haight behind him in 12th. Devin Serra continues to ride in 13th. And Troy Haight struggling the exit back up to near the front. Your pardon me, Mr. Director. Ricky Harden here in second place, trying to get a gap and try and catch up to the number 70 of Scott Eckridge right now. As you see here, Sean, it's kind of hard, and it's kind of about timing, I should really say, if you want to try and close in on the leaders as the tire work continues to go on, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Watching a battle right now here, Cannon, Devin, he's starting to pull away from our old buddy Woody Mahan a little bit. And Devin, not that far behind Yazik. Seems to have figured a little something out. His laps look really good right now. He's actually faster than Yazik up in front of him, and seems to, like I said, be picking up a little bit of ground on him. Woody Mahan not giving up anything, but I am concerned about the left front damage that Woody's working with. Don't know if maybe that's got the toe a little bit out on the car, but damage here can be tricky. Sometimes it can help. Most times it'll hurt. Woody seems to be doing a pretty good job of managing that right now as he's able to keep Thomas George behind him. Devin makes a bit of a mistake there, and it wheels in Woody. This is a good battle. This is for 7th place.
Yeah, and it's basically turning into a 4-car battle at this point. You see there, Cannon leading that train of cars. And as this tire work continues to go on, you have to worry at times about the handling, I think, because you see Timothy Barnes moving to the high side, once again trying to make the high side work alongside Thomas George. I think he might have tapped a tiny bit on the right rear quarter panel of Thomas George as well, but he is one of those drivers that I mentioned who is trying to make that high side work so far. And hold on one second. He gets a little bit loose, in fact, on the entrance. Uses Thomas George as a safer barrier and falls right back behind him, still in 10th.
Yeah, boy, Barnes really put... Ooh! Barnes, watch out now. He's trying to lay the chrome horn there to Thomas George, and boy, I don't know if that's something you want to make a living trying to do. Not here in the PRL, and there's some pretty dicey racing going on back here for that ninth spot.
Very dicey action indeed right now. You see Matt Murphy now back in the picture for 10th spot reel here. As now there's a battle now for that 7th spot. Woody Mahan able to get by Devin Cannon for the spot. And Timothy Barnes gets loose once again out of 2. And he's able to keep it straight. Devin Cannon, meanwhile, he might lose a spot to Thomas George. And you see right there, Devin Cannon, you mentioned with the mistakes, it all has added up really to now Cannon stuck on the high side. It's going to be hard for him to work on the high side, Sean.
Boy, Barnes put it in there. Oh, Cannon able to slide it back. Barnes goes back down to the bottom. Going to present the fender, and he is. Boy, Barnes, hashtag send it, baby. Devin, big trouble off of 2 there.
And meanwhile, up near the front of the field, we have had a pass battle for 5th. We should heads up. Tyler Dalton falling through the field. He started off in that top 5, of course, on the restart, slipping back behind Brian Yazik as that top 5 is starting to really pull away. Brian Yazik now trying to focus on Hayes. So basically with this kind of track, the creme de la creme, I guess you can say, move their way up as the longer the green flag runs go, as Yazik slightly bobbles it in as they work around Wilco.
You know, Wilco doing a good job of staying out of the battle. That's smart driving right there. Thank you, John. Yazik thanks him. We thank you. We'll have a bear claw for him at the next Back Markers United meeting. Go ahead.
And the bear claw almost came up, and here's another chance for a bear claw to up and attack them through the computer screens, because John Wilco and Brian Yazik on the run lap both getting loose. You've seen Wilco through 3 and getting out of 4. Brian Yazik out of 2. Possibly both of them ending up getting an arrow loose off of each other there, but both able to keep going and save it. So a slightly scary moment there once again there, Sean, with the handling starting to fade off with these tires as the run continues to go on.
About 26, 20, yeah, easy for me to say. About 26 laps into that run with the tires, and you know what? We are definitely seeing some sure signs of fall off. The exit of turn 2 has looked awful scary tonight for several drivers. Expect that to get worse every trip around here. We put one more lap on these tires.
Yeah, I heard, for example, with Jeff Ward, he described during practice at one point the setup feels, to him at least, felt more freer, which for him it's a good thing. Some drivers, of course, prefer a looser setup, but for others, it is not the best thing, to put it lightly, especially at a short track if you're loose on entrance and loose on exit, and/or essentially. And we got more news going on with Grahula here. He is now falling down the leaderboard and is in fact off the track.
He's had a connection issue, so something's going on with James' internet. We're not quite sure what it is. Hoping he can get back in this race. That's a real killer, man. James in a fight for championship points here, and get a disconnection is basically equivalent to having, big time motor failure just a quarter of the way into the race.
Yeah, the track like Martinsville, if he gets in quickly, he may get lucky and fall to maybe 20 laps down, but it's still a long way to conquer, especially at this kind of track. As right now we look at the gaggle of cars here for 12th position. Troy Haight trying to hold off Devin Serra and a few lap cars there. John Wilco on that high side. It's becoming a 4-car battle. 3 for position, I should say, with the 4th being Jeff Ward, the lap car. Just absolute traffic here as you're seeing on your screen. But now Troy Haight able to finally pull away, but has to check up a little bit on his trying to let off in the corner. But you can see how these drivers are handling these corners where you can see what they're trying to do. For example, Troy Haight going slightly more downward on these exits or more deeper into these entrances to protect that bottom line in this kind of traffic.
All right, a real concern for our leader. Not really. I mean, Scott's wheeling it right now, but he is going to be catching the back of the field here really soon. I'm seeing he's got just up in front of him there. Is that Stephen Herring? Yeah, it is. Stephen Herring in the Dairy Queen special there. Oh, Blizzard. But yeah, here comes Scott Eckrich, and now traffic is going to come into play because there is more of it just in front of Herring there, and Eckrich has got to manage this carefully. It got to do it in such a way that Harden and Tommy Ryan don't catch up to him. So a little bit of work to do here. Let's see how our leader, we know what he can do in clean air. Let's see what he can do in the dirty air when it takes a little bit of work here to get around somebody. Herring's got good pace. Seems to have it dialed in here at Martinsville, but again, let's see here what Eckrich can do to try and get around him. There's still great battling going on back here, though. Troy Haight battling for that position under Devin Cannon. Jeff Ward finally trying to get a couple of spots back here.
I was just about to bring that up as Devin Serra able to move by. Troy Haight now on that bottom side. Devin Cannon continuing to drop back. Jeff Ward is still a lap down, and that is not for position meanwhile. And you can see Cannon not wanting to give up the position there, trying to give him a little bit of a love tap to that right side, and fighting hard still, getting the better straightaway speed, believe it or not, here with where he's at. But you also have the 70 machine of Scott Eckrich moving in fast still, right on behind them, and they're going to reach him pretty soon. 15 seconds right now back is the last car in that grouping, and Gerald Livingston right on behind where Jeff Ward is. And you can see as well, just to note, Steve Herring is officially a lap down as Scott Eckrich now slowly but shiftily moving through the lap traffic. But now it's going to come to craziness pretty soon as you see now there Stephen Herring a lap down. Scott Eckrich, he's got some clean air once again and is able to grow the gap, but he got trouble. Jeff Ward is around, spins someone, pardon me. Troy Haight is around on the backstretch. Caution is out. Jeff Ward involved with another caution. Let's go to your GSRC replay right this second, Sean.
Yeah, well,
what happened?
What you're going to see is Ward get a great run down the straight, and Haight running a different line leaves the door open for Ward to get inside, and a little bit of contact. Really just kind of a racing deal right there. Haight going to be the one that gets turned around. He's not going to wreck the car. He's going to have a little bit of damage on it, but certainly going to be able to go back racing here. You'll see it from Devin Cannon's view. Ward was down there. He had the hole to get in, and it's just slight contact again that gets them both around. Oh, boy, and Troy Haight, he's gotten out of the car. I think he had enough. I don't know why he did that. That's a shame. Like I said, the car was really not in that bad a shape, but Troy has disconnected and taken his car behind the wall.
Troy Haight now done for the day. That's going to make it now 4 drivers in the garage area so far today. And we are going to go to, once again, you know, the place where fun and happiness comes from. For some people, it's dogs, with the Coastal Safety Editor Lucky Dog, as Brutus tries to cheer up John Wilco, as he is once again your lucky dog. Pardon me, Stephen Herring is your lucky dog. Pardon me. A big-time egg on my face there. Brutus will say bad boy there to me for that. But the Coastal Safety Auditors are your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment.
I think Brutus will get over it. It's okay. Don't worry about it, Justin.
And with that, we'll be right back here on GSRC with more action for the Martinsville 250 in just a moment. And welcome back to GSRC's coverage of the Patriot Fire Cup Series for the Martinsville 250. We're coming back right to the restart here for lap number 70 of this one. Scott Eckridge is the control car, Ricky Harden's on the outside, and we're back underway here from Martinsville. Eckridge able to get a good start once again. Harden getting a bump from behind from Brody Hayes, as Brian Yazik doesn't want to give up that position easily here. Still on that outside and fighting. But Yazik having to check up, still too wide as Eckridge leads this lap. Lap 71 here. Talk about action here and talk about making that top side work. Yazik able to keep third spot as he restarted on that outside lane and was able to move by Brody Hayes there. But we have something going on, I believe, with Timothy Barnes dropping back fairly quickly.
He was up there on the top side trying to make it work, trying to get past Thomas George, and I don't think George liked that a whole lot. He kind of door slammed him once or twice. Well, maybe not a door slam, just a little bit of rub. And it kind of let Barnes know, hey, I don't like you up there on my outside. And so Barnes slips in behind, and now he gives George a little bit of a tap.
Trouble. Woody Mahan is around. Caution flag is out in turns 1 and 2. Woody Mahan getting a bump from Devin Serra on the pass. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay right here.
Well, Woody, I hate to say it. I think you left the door open a little bit for him there, and Serra gets in there. Now, Serra doesn't have to hit him. I think it's just the nature of the law of physics, I should say. The car, has a tendency, when you get in hot like that, and that right rear wants to push out on you, and he's going to get him. And it's a shame for Woody. He's going to have to fight back now. Didn't take long for that caution flag to come back out.
And most of the drivers staying out there. Woody Mahan, luckily for him, able to get back fairly quickly here, as that will not really shake up the grid much, if at all, here. But I believe that will benefit somebody. Am I correct here? Yes, it will. Take a look at this. The number 83 gets some luck from Brutus as the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. And with that, Devin Cannon able to move back to the lead lap, thanks in a little part to Brutus helping cheer up his spirits right there with that caution.
Hey, and I want to throw, while we're talking about sponsors, I want to throw a shout out to a new sponsor we're seeing on Ricky Harden's car this evening, Brian Ramey and Associates, for your personal law needs there in the Piedmont, South Carolina area. Just Google him, Brian Ramey and Associates, and there's a phone number on there. But like I said, if you just Google him, you'll find out everything you need to know there about Brian Ramey and his associates and their services, which they have available for you, as I said, there in the Piedmont, South Carolina area. So congratulations on the new sponsor there, Ricky, whether it be for tonight or for the rest of the season. But you know what? Ricky's having a pretty good night. We talk about the sponsor. I mean, he finds himself in second to restart this race. He started in the top 10. He's done nothing but work himself up through this. And you know what? As I look at that Chevrolet, that Monster Energy Cup, beautiful Chevrolet, unacceptable racing machine there, it's clean.
Yeah, it's very clean. Hasn't really gotten into any trouble whatsoever, Harden has, all race long. Meanwhile, you take a look at some of the air cars, for example, a Thomas George or a Jeff Ward. They are pretty beat up, but at this kind of track, as long as you don't really have motor damage, it's not as big of a deal as the caution lights come on off. We're back to 1 to go. As Scott Eckridge still choosing that bottom side. Ricky Harden going to be on the outside this time. And one thing we've seen interesting-wise on the last restart was Brian Yazik able to keep his battle for spot to get third on the outside of Brody Hayes. We'll see if Hayes can do the same to Yazik here as the pace car is off the track. Eckridge, the control car once again in his number 70 machine, and this time it's about an even start. Green flags back up, and we're back underway here at Martinsville. Scott Eckridge able to keep the bottom side as Brody Hayes dropping back a couple spots on that restart there, back to 5th. As Harden's still fighting with Brian Yazik. And that 55 machine in the HPP simulation, number 55 Ford, he's now having a chance for second, Sean.
Thomas George back here fighting. Thomas George, Brody Hayes is around.
And we got trouble. Brody Hayes around. Caution flag is out. My goodness, let's take a look at your GSRC replay. Brody Hayes did not get a good exit out of 2 on the restart, and that led in part to this. Here's the replay from above.
Yeah.
Brody Hayes in the middle, comes down, gets bumped from behind from Thomas George, and gets bumped all the way to the side of the garage area.
Yeah, and we'll go on board with George here. You'll get a better look at exactly what happened. I think Brody hadn't really settled on a lane yet, and when he did, unfortunately, George was already there. Kind of surprised George just a little bit. He really had nowhere to go. That's a tough break. I'll tell you who got really lucky in that one, and it's Jeff Ward. He was right behind that, was able to get on the binders just enough to avoid getting any more damage on the front end of his Chevrolet.
He just had some black flags cleared, and I believe, if I am correct here, he got some luck from Brutus. In fact, he did. That gets him to just 1 lap down with your Coastal Safety Auditors Lucky Dog. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment.
You know, Jeff's won a lot of awards and trophies this season. I don't remember the last time he got a Coastal Safety Auditor's Lucky Dog, to be honest with you.
I can't remember either, to be honest. But as he was going for that wave round, a couple different cars did end up going in the pits. We're going to take a look just to make sure of the exact numbers. Brody Hayes, of course, coming in for the pits. Few lap cars, as you're seeing, also possibly popping in. Jeff Ward going for his luck wave around. The main one to me, though, was Tommy Ryan, pitting from the top 5, getting fresh tires, moving back to 8th.
Yeah, well, Tommy, I don't know, Tommy looking to maybe do something amazing here. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's a big difference here in what we've got. We've got, you know, the halves, the guys who stayed out. That's 18 laps of the tires right now, and then you have the have a little bit less guys, and then they're the ones that came in the pits, and I should say have a little more because they got tires and topped off their fuel. They are going to have a distinct advantage. So let's see, can they move their way up through the field? Can Tommy Ryan, Matt Murphy, and Devin Cannon and Brody Hayes all kind of work together as 4 and get back through the field? I don't know. We'll see here. One thing is certain. We're going to get back to racing, and you know what? We've managed to knock off 85 laps. Yeah, we've had a few cautions, but overall, this has been a really, really good race, and honestly, not a lot of guys out of this thing yet here.
Yeah, there is still a lot of racing here, and just as you mentioned, we already up to lap 85. That's how fast the laps click off here, this kind of track, but we do have the restart. Scott Eckridge trying something different, starting on the outside here, Brian Yazik on the inside, and Scott Eckridge as the control car gets things back underway and gets a very good jump, 0.3 of a second jump going into turn 1. And Brian Yazik in that 55 machine still holding on to second. Mostly everyone in the top 5 able to get back to single file, but take a look at that gaggle of cars battling too wide here. Devin Serra now trying to make a move on the outside and having to poke a loose. It's back to single file racing. And now for Scott Eckridge, you can see he is trying to focus here.
Timothy Barnes struggling on that restart. He's dropping like a rock, and I don't think he likes those old tires he's got in that car right now, because Barnes out of the gate here lost 2 on that restart.
I was just about to mention that there. Thank you very much for pointing it out, Sean, because he has had some loose conditions on as the runs have gone on green flag runs on these older tires, and with these being much older tires compared off a restart, it's going to be much harder, I think, compared to a Tommy Ryan, for example, right in front of him, who did go into pit. As right now, he might have to hang on for dear life pretty soon if we are basing that part on what we've seen on the last long green flag run from Timothy Barnes. But let's take a look at some more action here across this field here. Woody Mahan's just behind him in 8th spot right now, trying to close in Matt Murphy in 9th. And meanwhile, that battle for 10th, Brody Hayes trying to close in on Devin Serra, still kicking as he's trying to slowly but surely work his way back to where he was.
Yeah, Woody Mahan here having a good run. The Jewel started all the way back at 13th. He's got himself in the top 10. Still working with that damage on the left front. Got to be careful, though. Matt Murphy's coming to the picture. Matt charging up to the field. He's up 7 spots. These guys on that longer strategy right now. They stayed out here at this last caution flag.
Right now we're in lap number 92 here. The halfway award starting to become slowly more and more clear into picture for these race drivers. John Wilco, I should note. We got a battle, though, for P3. Ricky Harden dive-bombing on Tyler Dalton and able to get right on by on the bottom side. Tyler Dalton went way high on that high side there. Possibly just let him have it, just letting the faster car by there in that situation.
Matt Murphy picks up a spot back here from Woody Mahan. Matt put in the work there and gets himself up to 8th.
Now Matt Murphy able to work his way, and one thing to note here, John Wilco just took a tow. He had bounced off the wall out of turn 2 on his lap number 82 for him. He's now in the pit area getting repairs. It's very possible he'll be in there for a lengthy period of time, but taking a look still at the battles around the track, Tyler Dalton, after letting by Ricky Harden, he's going to now have to think about the cars behind him. You see there, for example, the fresh tires, that number 6 machine. That's going to become a major advantage for Tommy Ryan, I think, with the pit strategy as these tires continue to wear down, especially with an 18-lap difference compared to the first time it was seen by a few drivers, just 10.
And I think it's pretty safe to say that'll also keep Timothy Barnes behind him. I don't think Barnes will be able to attack with those better tires that Tommy's got. Tommy really having a lot of trouble with Devin Serra, though. Just cannot seem to find an opening to get through. And honestly, it's probably holding him up just a bit here. Devin having a little bit of a connection issue from time to time. So that also going to be a problem for Tommy as he tries to figure out a pass here on Devin Serra.
And that may be in part a factor in why Tommy Ryan is able to poke by there and that Devin Serra moves to the high side. You may have noticed that he had the blinking situation and decided, I can't hold up these drivers. And Tommy Ryan, he's going to move himself into the top 5 and should just seal it if he gets a good enough exit. In fact, he does. Timothy Barnes now is hungry for that 6th spot.
Yeah, Barnes almost getting into Devin Serra there, and then he backed out of it. Let's Serra get by. But a great job there by Tommy Ryan to get the position, get himself here into 5th. Still trying to get back up to where he started.
And there's a reason Tommy Ryan has 2 wins this season. It took him a while to be able to start earning his first win. He got a win at Daytona, but another one that was essentially his top win in terms of memory to some fans here for the PRL would be Richmond, as he was able to fight for that win with the Jeff Wards of the race and so forth, and able to work his way through. And you can see now...
He's working. Oh, Dalton, gonna let him go here.
I was just about to mention that Dalton, maybe he's starting to have a bit of tire fall-off issues and knows he has the fresher tires. Tommy Ryan's now up to 4th position. That is a interesting way to let a driver by, letting off the gas essentially a bit down that front straightaway. But it still was enough timing how they did it to be able to let him by here. But now, if you're Tyler Dalton, do you let yourself drop out of the top 5 with bonus points on the line here? Lap 103, approaching about 23 lap.
No, Ty needs to hang on to that spot. He's got to keep Devin in his mirror. I think he could do it. I mean, they're both working with the same amount of laps on their tires. He can keep in his mirror. Ty's just got to be good here.
Just a second here. We got a battle right now for the Lucky Dog spot. In fact, for 14th spot, Jeff Ward just getting right on by the damaged Thomas George. Thomas George does have some damage to his front end. That will affect some of his speed down the straightaways. and Jeff Ward able to take advantage of it. So if we get another caution, which of course it's Martinsville, I don't want to say furthermore to those kind of situations, he would be in the best situation to get some help from Brutus at this point.
Yeah, but remember now, Jeff Ward started with a Chevrolet Malibu SS, and I think he's down to a Cavalier now when we talk about the length of cars. So Jeff working with his own bit of trouble back here, and Jeff set himself up perfectly to get this lucky dog if he gets another caution. I say if. You think there'll be another caution?
It is Martinsville, so odds are pretty good in favor as Thomas George letting Gerald Livingston, who's on the lead lap, right there. But let's take a look at your leader still with less than 20 laps to that halfway point. Scott Eckridge currently in the lead by 9/10 of a second, having some pretty open air, and hold on 1 second, we got trouble down pit lane. Thomas George decided to come on in and hit the pit wall. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay.
Oh, no.
We were talking about those the possible engine issues and that front damage. Let's take a look at this.
I don't know.
As he comes in, I think he just said, I hope he's okay. That does not look right.
Well, if he's in a full motion sim, he's not okay. I guarantee you that.
That looked like a
he
technical
disconnected.
issue.
Yeah, you know what? I'm wondering if he had some sort of hardware issue. Incredibly lucky for the rest of the field that it didn't happen in front of somebody, and then he actually went in and hit that inside pit wall. But that was awful strange. Hopefully he'll check in on the chat and fill us in as to what's going on there. That was not, obviously that wasn't normal. That wasn't normal. Something happened there.
Yeah, especially with the speed coming into that barrier, they're not exactly sure what to think of that. But we're still looking at here Ricky Harden, though. He just got a little bobble you've seen there out of 2. That's where some of that tire wear is starting to come, and he's starting to lose ground on the guy in second place still, Yazik.
Well, I hope Thomas is okay down there. Devin Serra and Timothy Barnes. I'll tell you what, Barnes is not... well, he hadn't been patient for most of this race. He's really not patient with Devin Serra right now. Devin is in his way, and Mr. Barnes is coming through. I just have a feeling this could be our next caution flag. I hate to call caution flags, but the way these two are driving each other right now, I would not altogether be shocked.
Yeah, possibly just being patient with this still being, in terms of the full picture and the halfway picture, still a long ways away. They're still both in this top 10 as well, in case of that, as well as we continue to approach the halfway point where we will give away bonus points for the American Pool Supply Halfway Award. That is just about 12 laps away here. As we got an update from Thomas George, he is okay. The hardware is okay. How do I put this comfortably?
I'm sorry, Barnes. Barnes laying it to Sarah, but almost tried to move him out of the way. Now Barnes going to get down there on the inside, and man, they're going to swap paint going by. Ooh.
We'll talk about Rubbings Racing at a track like Martinsville, that's for sure, because you're talking about that contact. That contact was bump drafting the entirety of 1 and 2. There's a saying here at a track like tracks like Martinsville, for sure here at Martinsville. Bump once, okay, I know you're there. Bump twice, can you let me by, please? Bump 3 times, you better let me by right now, or the next bump's going to send you into a safer barrier. That is the saying for the NASCAR Cup Series and for many levels of NASCAR. I guess that's a decent way to define it there in some kind of form here, Sean. Pardon me if I'm off on what I'm trying to describe. Okay, yes, it is decent, in fact, as we are about approaching that halfway award still. You're looking at Woody Mahan now, battling right now for spots with Matt Murphy and Brody Hayes for the 8th spot. In fact, Brody Hayes able to recover fairly well from hitting that pit wall. So you're seeing a lot of action here. And we still have that update with Thomas George. Once again, his hardware is okay. It was just a matter of deciding to, for the sake of his sanity, I don't know, that might be the wrong way of putting it, for the sake of of thinking about the long picture and seeing the damage, just putting it behind the garage area when you know in some cases I've seen this in the Grand National Series, putting it behind the wall for skill. But that's about it with that description there, pardon me.
Yeah. All right, so Scott Eckridge starting to open things up a little bit on Yazek. I'll tell you what, though, Yazek about to have some company here for Ricky and Tommy. They have worked hard, and they have managed to get there. Now, Ricky, on his own little strategy, his teammate on another right behind him. Tommy can certainly stretch this thing out a lot longer than the cars in front of him. The question is, what will Tommy decide to do? As we approach the halfway point right now, it's all about getting those bonus points. Justin, we are there. We have reached that moment. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go until those bonus points. As you see there, the battle, or the view from Tommy Ryan, I should say, right behind Ricky Harden on those fresher tires right now. And talk about domination so far for this one for Scott Eckridge. He has led 121 of 123 laps in the 70 car. And the statistic we got from our friend Bill Soupzon, between him and Brian Yazek, there's been 11 wins between them. 6 for Scott, 5 for Brian. But with this halfway award, Scott Eckridge going to help continue his domination. We're at lap 125, approaching about 2 laps to go into that halfway. And you continue to see that closing air right behind him. Brian Yazek, he's in a good position. And Brian Yazek getting loose out of the corner, able to save it there. But we have officially reached lap number 26. This time by the points should be awarded, and it should be just about secure, pending any situations for the American Pool Supply Halfway Award. Hashtag the pool is clean. And the racing continues to be fairly clean on this green flag run. Brian Yazek able to get second in the points. Tommy Ryan going to lose 2 points in his battle for the season championship. But Brian Yazek, Sean, is having issues right now with that car, getting loose on every exit for the past 3 laps.
Yeah, well, that'll happen when these tires start to fall off. I mean, it's a 60-plus lap run now, and they're angry. They're angry. They say, please change me. But Yazek continues to hang on with Ricky Harden right there waiting to pick him up. And Tommy Ryan, being the patient one right there, knows he's got a better handling car right now. But boy, they've really opened things up on the rest of the field. I mean, it's a whole nother, we've got a whole nother almost 5 seconds back to Tyler Dalton, who's in a pretty good tussle of his own right now with Timothy Barnes trying to get more. Dalton got to hang on to it. Boy, coming off the turn, he had a little trouble of his own there getting out of 2.
Yeah, you're seeing all those bobbles right now. Tyler Dalton leading that third grouping right now. The second grouping, Brian Yazek, Harden, and Ryan for second place. But if you're Scott Eckridge, you're thinking, this is exactly what I want to see. A 2.4 second lead now as we continue to look at some of the action here for the Martinsville 250. As we cross the line, it's lap 131 already with this race. And Scott's still in the 19.8 with that last time here, in fact.
Man, we got this. Hey, it's Barnes and Sarah going at it again. Sarah wants his spot back, and Barnes does not want to give it to him. Barnes started in 14th place. He's one of our big movers in the race right now. And here goes Sarah looking to the inside again. Not quite. It's going to be Barnes with a better run off the exit. Sarah not able to get there.
And believe it or not, for Barnes, this is just Barnes' second race of the season in that LSR TV machine. The 09 car made its debut last week at Talladega. As we continue to see this battle on screen for 6th position here. Devin Sarah still hungry, as you see, to get this spot. Trying everything he can to get a better run on exit. That time, Sarah clipped the yellow railing on the corner exit. Lost him a tiny bit of time, but you can see now Sarah trying to change up the line, going on high on exit and arcing it in and trying to diamond it for the exits off 2 and 4.
Yeah, Martinsville definitely a good track to employ that strategy at. And You talk about that diming of the turns. It's basically running it in there up to the apex and then down out of the apex onto the track, and kind of like turning the track into a diamond. Martinsville certainly fit for that, and it can definitely be an advantage to you. It does, in fact, even take a little bit better care of the tires when you do that. If you run that line perfectly, it can be a big gainer. Dalton's still doing a great job, though, of holding them off and keeping them behind, hanging onto this top 5 spot.
Yeah, able to, in fact, because of that battling behind him, he's been able to spread out the gap a little tiny bit, as you're seeing about 0.6 of a second gap between the car behind him and Timothy Barnes here, as he's just focusing on his own race in that top 5. Has a lot of different battles, and speaking of, we got something going on with Hardin here. In fact, Hardin, he just fell back a spot. Tommy Ryan able to get by him through 1 and 2. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay to show you how exactly Tommy Ryan positioned this pass. Well, that's a good way, in fact, to try and position a pass. Take advantage of a mistake there, Sean. Getting loose out of 4, yep, and just getting the nice, good line for 1 and 2. Getting that bottom line, taking advantage of it.
Yeah, Ricky just fighting those tires a little bit, and Tommy able to take advantage of that and get his spot. Boy, Justin, we are just about down here to a little bit less than 100 laps to go. So, you know what? Yeah, we've had probably a few cautions, but they haven't all been bad ones. And man, we've still got a great race going on here up front. I don't think Eckrich has run away with anything yet. Still plenty of time to get that done. Eckrich is going to have to come in here. Everybody's going to have to at least get one more stop to finish this race. I don't think anybody can make it on fuel from here.
Yeah, it would be very tough for people to make it on fuel, but a lot of drivers have been taking advantage of, or just waiting, I should say, for when the next caution comes out. For Scott Eckrich, though, he's got lap traffic to deal with in just a few moments here. First car in front of him with the lap traffic will be Gerald Livingston, who's currently in 12th spot, as he still has that gap over the battle you're seeing forming between Yazik and Tommy Ryan on your screen just about in a couple split seconds. Yeah, but we've seen, Sean, Tommy Ryan, his strategy is starting to get better and better, to me it seems at least. Tommy Ryan, though, getting loose on that exit, but but he's been getting stronger as the race goes on.
Yeah, no, he has. He's really got the Northern Tool and Equipment Chevrolet running well, and Yazik looking over his shoulder here, putting pressure on Brian Yazik. Yazik has a little bit of damage on the right front of his machine, and these are tense moments for Yazik, and nothing coming easy here.
Meanwhile, battle going on for the top 5. Timothy Barnes able to get by, as well as Devin Serra. We got trouble in turn 4. There is Devin Serra giving the bump out of turn 4 to Timothy Barnes. Caution flag is out. And we're going to have to see what happened here. This was just after both of them got by Tyler Dolman. Yeah, take a look at this replay. Both of them coming in. Devin Serra very close up, and I think he was just wasn't expecting as much of a checkup, I think, for the exit.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. These two have gotten together already on track this evening, and oh boy, Timothy Dalton really the lucky one there. He almost gets involved with that. I mean, Timothy Dalton. We actually have Timothy Dalton in another series, but Tyler Dalton in this one got really, really lucky to miss that. He was almost got pinched up into the wall there as everyone gets ready to come down pit road here.
In fact, everyone is. Devin Serra able to get into the top 5 with that little tiny bump and run in the caution. Serra, just a note, is still looking for his first top 5, really. The best finish he's had is 5th, is the season opener here for the Patriot Fire Cup Series at Daytona, which is a long ways off. Scott Eckrich able to get out of the pits first. Meanwhile, perfect timing for Brutus to give a nice big hug to our lucky dog, the number 64 of Gerald Livingston. Gerald Livingston getting your Coastal Safety Auditors lucky dog. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment.
Good job, Brutus. Way to go, boy.
Yeah, he's now coming in as this is a small track. If you're really outside that top 5 or 10, at this kind of track, you have to really pit on the second lap time around on the pace lap to make sure you don't fall a lap down when you're actually going for that pit stop.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't think that pit stop came at a bad time.
Yeah, that is a really good time. We've seen a lot of cars bobbling a little bit on the exits, and a few of them on the entrances before that. As Scott Eckridge still in that lead, Brian Yazik second, Tommy Ryan third, Ricky Harden sits in fourth currently. And rounding out your top 5 right now is Devin Serra. Small correction, the best finish for Devin Serra was 6th on the season at Daytona, not 5th. Pardon me's on there.
All right, well, we still have 12 on the lead lap, so I think we're in pretty good shape as far as the earlier race here, and so I don't know. We'll see here. Let's see. Eckridge is going to restart. Brian Yazik, Ricky Harden, Tommy Ryan. You could throw all of them in a fishbowl, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think any one of them could come out a winner. And don't forget about Tyler Dalton back there. He's hungry. Already with 1 win this season in the PRL. Would love to get another one. Here we go.
And coming out is that green flag as Scott Eckridge is the control car on the high side this time. Green flag underway once again here at the Martinsville 250. Less than 100 laps to go here in beautiful Virginia. As Tommy Ryan battles for third spot and is able to get right on by Ricky Harden on that bottom side. And another great start once again from Eckridge, as that is now 150 laps led out of the 152. Caution flag is out. And we got trouble. That is on the front stretch, in fact.
Yep.
Woody Mahan, he's turned into a barbecue as he is going backwards down the front stretch. Here's the replay.
All right, and this is how this one starts. It actually starts with Brody Hayes. Brody Hayes tags the wall coming off the turn 4. And the rear of the car comes around and sends Brody into our man here, Woody. Poor Woody. Yeah, it's going to be an ender for him. Knocks the front end off. It's a smoking bomb at this point, and he's going to roll her in. And, well, as you said there, he's going to light the queue, and we'll get some ribs on, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be ready by the end of this race.
Well, this track is also known for its hot dogs, and you know someone who is a hot dog after getting the lucky dog? Jeff Ward. Brutus is going to bring him his Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog after that one, as that quick caution gives him your lucky dog. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment.
All right.
And Jeff Ward, he's been in a bit of a hurricane for this race, but now with that, he gets some luck. After that caution, with 12 cars now in the lead lap, we'll go on commercial break. We'll be back here on GSRC with more coverage of the Patriot Fire Cup Series from Martinsville. And welcome back, everyone, to GSRC for more coverage of the Patriot Fire Cup Series. We're coming to lap 59 to the Martinsville 250 after a caution involving Woody Mahan and the 10 of Brody Hayes. With 6 cars behind the garage area, we still have a lot of action to go. Scott Eckridge starts off, the green flag is out, and he gets another great start as it's 2 abreast right behind them. Brian Yazik holding on to that bottom line, trying to keep second, but does not get the right exit he wanted to out of 2. Ricky Harden still fighting hard. Timothy Barnes almost coming in contact again with Devin Serra as Yazik is able to lead the lap, but we still have Devin Serra and Ricky Harden not letting go on that high side.
They don't have a choice right now. Sarah finally actually able to get in line. Harden just not willing to put it down in front of Tommy. Now he does. Tommy lets him get in there.
The only person we've really seen able to make a move on that high side off a restart has been Brian Yazik, which I think it might be part of why Scott Eckridge has chosen the high line for the restarts to take away that advantage line for the restarts in case Yazik did it a second time. As things have smoothed out, Timothy Barnes, meanwhile, trying to get right on by Tyler Dalton. Battle for 7th. Diving it right on in, gets a good exit. He's able to get right on by, trying to catch up to his compadre in the number 20 for Devin Serra as he holds on to 5th.
Barnes getting by Tyler Dalton there. Not used to seeing Tyler pass a whole lot, but he makes it work, and Barnes continues his march here towards the top 5. Hasn't been there yet. He's 1 car away. His old buddy Devin Serra right in front of him.
Well, now you can see there a slight blink, I believe it was from Devin Serra there, but you're seeing the view from Matt Murphy as he's currently in 8th right behind this train of cars that are all trying to think of the same thing. How can I move on by and try and time it out for a position? Devin Serra, though, he's starting to gap it out away from Timothy Barnes and close in on 4th spot in Tommy Ryan right now. As things continue to smooth out here, Scott Eckridge up to a 1-second lead while all this battling is going on behind him. You can see right now a lot of different drivers with these fresh tires. It's going to take a while to see who is better with the tire fall off. We've seen it a lot of times, but of course, it's getting to, with the less than 100 laps to go, less than 90 to go, I should say. This is where pressure starts to really kick in, especially in a series like this, because once lap 250 comes around, you got to be on your A game to be in, on victory lane on the front stretch.
And you know what, man? The direction blowing in the way of the green flag. Although I don't know if Devin Serra and Timothy Barnes stay close to each other, maybe we will get another caution flag. But what I'm thinking here right now is who pushes this out to the end? Who tries to get close to 100 laps out of these tires tonight? I think it's a real possibility. I think a caution flag means everybody comes down. I don't think anybody tries to outdo one another with tires. We've seen it not be so favorable so far. But yeah, again, if this goes to the checker, it's really going to come down to who can manage their car the best and have a little something there at the end. See, what is that? Stephen Herring getting out of the way here on track for everybody, letting them get by. Herring all the way up in the top groove, up by the wall.
Yeah, he's running in the 28s right now at the moment. His fastest lap has been a 19.6, which is about half a second off of our current leader in Scott Eckridge for comparison's sake at the moment, as he continues to do the safe thing of letting all the cars that are faster on by and not to try and be a situation. But Scott Eckridge, man, it's been an absolute domination show that I think we have not mentioned a little bit enough here, because he has led all but 2 of the laps tonight so far. The only other 2 were led by Timothy Barnes during a caution flag, where Barnes had to come in on the second pace lap to make sure he didn't fall a lap down during the caution flag. But he's got someone to worry about. Brian Yazik, he's got the second fastest car on the track, really, and has been putting comparable time since the drop of the green flag, about within a tenth between the two of them here.
Hey, listen, I think Yazik is doing a fine job back here. He really hasn't let Eckrich get too far away. I mean, what's too far away? 6-7 seconds. He's got it just under a second right now. You just said it. He's throwing down very competitive laps. What that time by, the difference was 2/100ths of a second. So, I mean, again, pretty good stuff. No, I take that back, actually. Yazik significantly better, almost 0.2 of a second faster than Eckrich on that last one. So, he's getting the work done here. We've got 75 laps left to go. Anybody's race still. I really think it is anybody's race.
One missed time caution for one driver may be a big time reward for another driver that could really shake things up. As we continue to see the action here near the front here, Timothy Barnes, meanwhile, he's starting to slowly but surely close in on that 5th spot now. Devin Serra has currently looked through parts of this field. Currently your top 5, Scott Eckrich, Brian Yazik, Ricky Harden, Tommy Ryan, and Devin Serra still looking for his first top 5 of the season. And believe it or not, Sean, as well, we have still 12 cars on the lead lap, which is pretty interesting for a track like Martinsville, where we see about half of the field fall a lap down. For reference points, the Bristol night race we had on August 24th for the PRL Patriot Fire Cup Series, just 3 cars finished on that lead lap.
Yep.
In what was a very, very entertaining race for that one as well, just for comparison's sake.
Yeah,
that one was by Jeff Ward.
Yeah,
who won
that's
that one.
a great comparison indeed. Again, I know we've had a few cautions this evening, but I don't think it's been an abundance of them. Boy, Yazik really struggling, man. He's fighting it. Very, very busy with the hands in the cockpit of that car. A lot busier than I think he'd like to be. But for Yazik, it's all about those HPP pedals and finding the grip, getting out of these turns.
Yeah, right now he's still putting about even times to Scott Eckrich in the same ballpark, both in 19.6 the last time around. This time around, as the scoring comes in, it's almost the exact lap, and that time Yazik slightly faster, but still, you did say this yourself, it is still a long ways away. We were here at lap 183 coming around here, but we're still looking at a lot of different action here as Scott Eckrich continues the lead, 180 laps now led.
I mean, okay, yeah, so there is still a long way to go in this race, but not really. Okay, the more I think about it, it's like, all right, we've got 19.5 second laps. We've got 67 laps to go this time by. A lot of these guys are maybe contemplating running these tires out to the finish if they don't get a caution flag. Boy, I don't know. I think maybe we're in that window right now where you could say, all right, maybe it's time to start to either panic a little bit or really, really lock in your end game, because this race will be over before we know it.
Actually, you are right about that, but I wouldn't say panicking is the best strategy either, because if you panic, you might overdrive the car. If you overdrive the car, your tires burn up faster, and if you burn your tires faster, you end up falling behind. So right now, really, it's just focusing and continuing that test of patience here and trying to get things going. Just
see
one
the car down on the pit. Who's on the pit? Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry. That's John Wilco. My bad.
John,
I thought we had one of our leaders there duck off.
Yeah, John Wilco now rolling out of the pits in 16th. He is 102 laps down compared to the leader right now as he comes out here. The next car up is 20 laps down. And if he stays clean here, he's going to be able to move into a top 15 finish here. When you're in some situations where you're in an accident at a track like Martinsville, if you're able to get the damage fixed and work your way back going around, you're able to work your way up the finishing pole And that might be the strategy there. Matt Murphy, meanwhile, we're seeing on your screen in 8th spot. Jeff Ward, who had been the lucky dog on the last caution, starting to close in on him. And Jeff Ward, he's had himself a lot of different situations, especially the early part of the race, and he's been able to really recover, Sean, so far in this top 10 now with the help of some lucky dogs. And he still has some decent speed out of him.
Yeah, definitely. Not giving up here. I don't think it's going to be the night that he had envisioned, but it's not going to be a bad night either. I think it's going to wind up in a decent point situation, but when you wreck the car early, it's tough to recover sometimes, and it's really what it's been about for Jeff tonight. It's just recovering.
Just recovering, trying to get your best finish possible. He has had a lot of luck in some races. Tonight, it just has not swung the exact same way as in previous events. As you continue to look at the field here, as another person to really note out with what we're seeing here on track, Ricky Harding. He's had 2 wins this season. Both of them have been on super speedways, but he's been having a great run here at Martinsville, keeping on his own and still able to stick it out and keep in front of Tommy Ryan here as he continues to have the much better exit timing, and I think the slightly better handling possibly with the amount of throttle he might be putting in here to stay in this top 3. And even though you see the slight bobbles there, he's still able to get it moving forward still. Yeah, you can... Pardon me there.
No, I just still watching this battle with Sarah and Barnes. It's not going away. In fact, Devin was looking pretty comfortable there for a little bit. And now Barnes starting to get a bit racy again. He made a run at him here on the last lap. Maybe again here down into 1. No, not close enough to get it. But you see him braking a little bit later every time. Those rotors glowing on the Toyota there of Timothy Barnes. It's been a long, hard race for him, but he has still maintained 8 spots gained. Looking to get another one here from Sarah and finally get himself into the top 5.
Yeah, let's keep on to this battle here. It's one of the most intense battles still on the track at the moment. As you see Timothy Barnes, he's been closing in really for the past 20-25 laps as the tire wear has continued to come down because Devin Serra had pulled away from this 09 machine. As you see now, Devin Serra trying to go, or Timothy Barnes I should say, possibly trying to go match there, getting loose a bit off exit out, cost him about a couple laps of timing for the pass. But this is kind of the situation where you have a car you want to get in front of who might be slightly faster. Sometimes drivers say, okay, let's try and match up. And oh my goodness, we got some more trouble. Turn 2, and Devin Serra is the one turned around. Again, Timothy Barnes getting inside the left quarter panel. Caution flag is out. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay. Is that one is going to bring out the caution?
Boy, that's hard to blame. That's hard to blame Barnes on that one. I think you're going to see Devin's car start to turn left there a little bit, and Barnes was right there, Justin. Nowhere for him to go, really.
Yeah, let's take a look at the onboard with Timothy Barnes here, as this has been an interesting storyline throughout tonight, watching these two battle for position for much of the race. That time, Barnes, I think, just seen the door open, tried to take advantage of it, and that ends up being the situation right there.
I mean, the door, if I'm being honest, the door was wide open. I mean, wide open. Hey, listen, there's been some very close racing tonight. It just happens to involve those two several times. So maybe they won't be exchanging Christmas cards at the Christmas party this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Hold on 1 second there. We got a new leader after the battle out of pit lane. Brian Yasek wins the race out of pit lane. Ricky Hardin moves up to second. Scott Eckridge a full second slower on the pit stop.
Wow.
Talk about a way to...
what, man?
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely for sure. As right now you see more cars as they continue to roll around. And I believe your lucky dog, right now, we are currently making sure who your current lucky dog is, of course, here today so far. And I believe, just to double check here, of course, because correction and having the most correct results is always the best thing, but someone, of course, benefited from that situation. I believe that would, in fact, be Gerald Livingston.
I think it would, yeah,
the 64
you're right.
machine. And in fact, yes, it is. Pardon me with the Stumblefest.
Yeah.
Brutus will give me a pat on the back for encouragement after that with your Coastal Safety Auditors lucky dog. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. And that lucky dog gets them back on the lead lap. 12 cars still on the lead lap after caution number 7 here for the Martinsville 250. Inside 50 laps to go. And it's going to be an interesting restart once things get back going here. Brian Yazik able to take the lead, really, after all that.
And now that we got that one caution, now we're in that point of the race where I hope cautions don't breed more cautions here. We're within 50 to go, and we picked up one there. We had such a nice run going. We got it. It was inevitable. It happened. But here we go, Justin. It's all yours, buddy.
And here we go. The pace car's off the track. Brian Yazik, the control car. Ricky Harden on the outside. Brian Yazik with a good start. We're back underway here from Martinsville. And Brian Yazik able to get the single file. Goes to the high side on the exit. Ricky Harden looking to take advantage. Harden going to go to the bottom here as they are 2 wide, 2 rows back here for the battle for the lead. Brian Yazik will lead the lap, but Scott Eckridge now trying to battle for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, Eckridge and Ryan door to door since the green flag dropped. Yazik really losing this battle down there to Ricky Harden.
And Ricky Harden, he's now in that bottom, has the lead. He's single file, a little bit of a wedge coming out of 4. And Scott Eckridge takes advantage, moves to 2nd. Tommy Ryan still on the high side. Timothy Barnes now looking to poke a hole.
Boy, Eckridge got in really hot back there, and it, like you said, it's kind of like a wedge blowing through there. Look at this, Barnes. Barnes trying to get on the inside of Yazik now back here.
Talk about the Crown Royal horn. Pardon me, the Crown horn, I should say. It's not an alcoholic drink. But Brian Yazik, he's able to hold on to 3rd spot. Timothy Barnes backs off on Tommy Ryan, gives Tommy Ryan the spot as they go single file.
Well, up front, it's our man Ricky Harden. Scott Eckridge here is just giving him a mirror full, and boy, he ran right up on him there, almost gave him a tap. Yeah, this may not end good for Ricky Harden. Hang on, Ricky.
And Ricky Harden, of course, trying to go on defense mode on a lot of these entrances, possibly with Eckridge. Eckridge had led 197 laps before Harden was able to take the lead after passing by Brian Yazik. Brian Yazik led 5 laps. Harden has now led 5 laps. And if you're Harden, I think you're thinking, do not leave Eckridge any kind of gap whatsoever he can take advantage of.
Well, Yazik had the immaculate pit stop, and it's done nothing for him, except drop him to 3rd, and now worrying about an advance by Tommy Ryan just behind him. So, man, and you know what? Scott Barnes, Timothy Barnes, I'm going to call him kind of a loser on that restart, because he was up here battling for 4th, and now he's just kind of slipped off and fallen into the clutches of Tyler Dalton.
You can see he's been able to get some fairly decent exits on the straightaways. Tyler Dalton, of course, still now also having to pull it off Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward had his own pit issues. A 16.8 on the pit stop he had after slightly miscalculating the entrance on the pit stall, having to move up and losing 2 seconds there, which has him in 7th spot right now, trying to get by there, as you see, Tyler Dalton. As we continue to look at the action across this track, less than 40 laps to go. And right now, if you're Ricky Harden, you're thinking, this is going to be a wild finish because Scott Eckridge is still waiting for any kind of mistake possibly from the unacceptable racing machine in the 15.
Yeah, stay with us, folks. You don't want to miss this. It's we've got some pretty big players here at the front of the field, and the excitement is not over. Far from it. Eckridge just every lap keeps trying to figure something out here, and it just hasn't worked out yet. Now maybe John Wilco in front of them maybe opens an opportunity. If Harden is smart, he'll try and use Wilco as a pick. If Wilco will let him, and Wilco has none of that. Wilco's like, "No, I'm staying out of your battle." Gets out of the way, and then gets a little bit of the wall at the same time. And boy, Scott comes right up there on the wing and bumper of Ricky Harden. He's still trying to recover from it by the looks of it.
Yeah, you can see it slowly but surely. Eckridge has been on every entrance getting closer and closer to that back bumper. That time, it did end up making contact. So you can see Eckridge waiting. We've seen him try and take advantage of a pass a few laps ago now. Approaching 30 to go here with more traffic. Stephen Herring staying on the high side, but that's going to end up being a pick for Harden. As Harden took a slight advantage, that gives him a little bit of breathing room for a couple moments here.
Yeah, that wasn't scary at all. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, you can see now as the rest of this traffic gets by Sean, pardon me.
Yeah, no, Yazik is really still having trouble handling his machine. He's still loose, still all over the wheel, and even with better tires, he's still having trouble with it. I think Yazik really, really wants to hold on to this third spot. He does not want to give this away to Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, you can see here with the view we're seeing from Tommy Ryan and Brian Yazik getting very similar exits. In fact, that time Brian Yazik with the 19.587, Tommy Ryan with a 19.64, of course, there. But it's still going to be a battle to try and keep it up. We've seen at different times Yazik try different lines, from trying to go high on the exit to diming in the corner, for example, right there. So it's just a matter of seeing what works here. Speaking of seeing what works, Scott Eckridge continues to try and see what will get him by Ricky Harden. Inside 30 laps to go here for the Martinsville 250.
It's not happening, man. Ricky's not giving him anything. He's not even giving him a look. Ricky's dialed in right now. Probably the sweat just pouring down. He's got that new sponsor on the car tonight. He probably made a promise to that sponsor that he'd get him a win tonight. He wrote an awful big check. He wants that check to cash at the end of the night. And Ricky doing a great job of just not letting Scott Eckridge rattle him. Eckridge has tried several times here. Just nothing doing, man. Lighting up the rotors on that Ford too, man. Eckridge just bringing it in there as hard as he can.
Yeah, right now approaching 26 laps to go, coming to 25 laps to go this time by. As Eckridge may be just waiting for the right moment to strike here. Still very close on that back bumper on the entrances. Harden not giving him any kind of room whatsoever.
Harden coving the inside like wall-to-wall carpet, baby.
You gotta love that nice beautiful carpeting, especially at a track like Martinsville. You do not want to see the wood borders under the wood underneath the floor when you have flooring set on in your house. You don't want to see that kind of situation with the track at Martinsville.
You ever seen wall carpet?
Wall carpet? I've actually seen it with some wall carpeting. I just don't remember the last time. It might have been about a year or two ago, at the very least. I've seen one like that.
Very popular in old dingy recording studios. Remember that, okay?
Yes, I will. Scott Eckridge hitting the edging right there, and that's going to lose him a little bit of time.
Yeah, it does. It does. Man, the battle of the top four have been really, really fun to watch. It almost seems like we're not giving enough love to the back of the field. You know, Jeff Ward is still in this race. but he's still having to battle hard. He's got Devin Sarah just knocking on his door. Sarah still fighting the connection issues too.
Yeah, you can see now he's going to be right underneath Jeff Ward. In fact, Jeff Ward getting the better exit. Devin Sarah is tucking in right behind him. Both of these drivers having their fair share of trouble at some points in this race here. But this is getting to an interesting battle here for this position. Jeff Ward wanting to keep it, but with 20 laps to go. What time is it, Sean?
Man, it is time to put on your favorite disco music, drop the ball down. Baby, it's time to boogie. Let's get this party going here and get ourselves to a checkered flag finish. Let's do it now.
I wonder where the nearest disco hall is to Martinsville here. There is, of course, two beautiful towns that this track is in between, of course, the town of Martinsville and the town, I should say. This track is, of course, based out of as well within the community, that being, of course, the town of Ridgeway, Virginia. But, of course, 19 laps to go, make it 18. Ricky Harden continues to hold on to the lead here on GSRC. Here trying to get his third win of the season for the Patriot Fire Cup Series. His 2 victories coming at super speedways so far this season. Looking to add a short track victory to that trophy case for this year. Trying to hold off Scott Eckridge in that number 70 machine.
Man, Yazik still holding off Tommy Ryan. It's kind of the same battle that's going on up front. Yazik and Ryan are doing the same thing. Yazik just not leaving anything open for him, leaving nothing to chance. Got a chance for a podium finish here, and boy, one little mistake he knows it's done and dusted. But Tommy Ryan has just been awful solid tonight. It almost seems not fair that he won't. If he doesn't do something soon, he can't get the car on the podium. We'll see. Still got a little bit of racing to go here, but I think the biggest problem for Ryan is I just don't think he's as fast as Yazik is right now.
Yeah, Tommy Ryan that time getting really close on the exit of 2, as Yazik getting back on that gas pedal slightly later than Ryan, I think, than he expected, as these two continues to battle. But the battle for the lead continues to heat up. 15 laps to go this time by. Harding goes on the defensive line. Eckridge goes and diamonds the corner. And they continue to stay single file. 14 laps to go. Check that. As Eckridge moving to the high side on his entrances, trying to get things to heat up.
Eckridge going to try the top side. Here we go.
We've seen this work once so far today. Off a restart, we'll work on a green flag run. Harding gets loose on the exit of 2. Eckridge on the inside. Eckridge dives it in. Contact in turn 4. And Scott Eckridge takes the lead with 12 laps to go here in the Martinsville 250. Ricky Harden ended up getting loose. Talk about taking advantage of a mistake. Ricky Harden now having issues handling that. Scott Eckridge now pulling away quickly.
Here comes Yazik.
Brian Yazik just 0.8 back right now of Ricky Harden. The lap car of John Wilco will not be a factor here in this situation. 0.6 back now of Eckridge is Harden. Coming to 10 laps to go here at Martinsville. Yazik slowly but surely closing the gap for third spot. But for Scott Eckridge, he has now led 200 of 240 laps. He has dominated for much of this race. And now, he just has to hope it stays green for him and he makes no mistakes. With 9 laps to go, he's grown this lead to 0.9 of a second.
And man, a caution would cause all kinds of craziness at this point with 9 to go. Eckridge in such good command here. Ricky, I'll tell you what, ever since that pass, he just seems to have been rattled. A little bit of damage on the car has kind of shaken him, and Yazik has reeled him in. Yazik looking at an opportunity for a second place finish. Who knows, maybe even a win here this evening. But time is running away from us. We'll hit 7 to go when we come back to the line here.
Time is of the essence as he will make it 7 laps to go. At about 5 laps to go, any caution will end up sealing the race. As Eckridge with a nice exit, we take a look at this battle for second position. Harding continues to lose time after getting that contact, really, with the tire fell off. As you see here, Brian Yazik waiting for any mistake Harding has in front of him. Tommy Ryan looking to make a poke as we're now to 6 laps to go. And you can see there Tommy Ryan having to let off there, not expecting, I guess, once again. And we got trouble. Caution flag is out. Devin Serra is around.
Wow, and Serra loses it all by himself. He just gets the high spot of the curb coming off the turn. You're going to see it here. The left tires are going to get the high spot of the curb right there on exit. Well, not right there. No, yeah, it was right there. I'm sorry. My bad. Again, you saw him hit those. Saw him hit the high side of the curb there. Watch on board with him here.
Yeah,
right
you can
there.
see him bouncing off of that edging. We've seen a couple times it was very close, but at the most, we might have a 1-lap shootout. We are at 4 laps to go. It is very, very close in terms of if we go back to green, but I believe we do end up having a lucky dog, and that would be Stephen Herring with your Coastal Safety Honors lucky dog as Brutus.
Yeah.
Even with 4 laps to go, it still helps them slightly. Coastal Safety Honors, your one-stop shop, I should say, for fire, life, and safety equipment.
And we should probably explain real quick for any new viewers we have with us this evening, because you never know who's watching there, Justin. We don't have the green-white checker system in iRacing that NASCAR employs on a weekly basis. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we get 1 lap, we're going to get 1 lap, and it's going to be a 1-lap shootout to the green. You know what? I don't know if we're going to get that, though, Justin. This race might be over. There is a chance, though, we might get 1 lap. We'll see here this time by.
It's going to be very, very close, that's for sure here. But if it doesn't go back, we're going to see here, pardon me, before I speak too much ahead of myself here. Pace car crosses the line, lights are still blinking, and it looks like we are just going to be done here. That should just be about it here from Martinsville. Talk about domination. Scott Eckridge, 208 laps led, leading, if this stays the way it is, all but just 30 laps for today's race, starting from the pole and having a battle to get by Ricky Harding to try and move back into that lead, able to do so. And now, as we come to 1 to go here under the pace laps, he should be happy and his team should be happy for another victory for Loud Pedal Motorsports.
Yeah, and the lights are going to stay on, so that, sir, is an ender. The white flag has been unfurled.
That was
go ahead.
Pardon me there. And that should just about do it, Sean, here. An absolutely exciting race, especially if you are with that Loud Pedal Motorsports squad. That team is going to be celebrating their victory. Scott Eckridge will see the checker flag, the yellow and checkers, comes out here in Martinsville. And he will come away with a victory here in the Martinsville 250. As Ricky Harding turns around playfully, just seconds after Scott Eckridge told him he is good at Martinsville. Talk about respect. That is, I guess, playful respect right there.
Yes, indeed. What a race. You know what? It may have just ended the way it ended. If that flag had stayed out, who knows? But it was a good race here at Martinsville. It wasn't too rough. Yeah, there was a little bit of attrition, maybe a little bit of ruffled feathers, but hey, we'll move on to a big race next week, and we'll come back here in just a moment with some great results, Justin.
In fact, we will go to that commercial break. We'll be back with the results as Scott Eckridge celebrates a victory here for the Martinsville 250. We'll be back here on GSRC with more coverage for post-race here for the Patriot Fire Cup Series. And welcome back, everyone, to the post-race coverage for the Martinsville 250 for the Patriot Fire Cup Series. As it was definitely an exciting finish, as it was a battle for the finish between Scott Eckridge and Ricky Hart. As we look at your finishing standings, Scott Eckridge ended up getting a pass with about 10 laps to go to get by Ricky Hardin before a caution flag sealed the deal and finished things off. Ricky Hardin coming away second, and what was a great race for him as well, battling for this win. He had led 33 laps in this one. Brian Yazik comes away third. Meanwhile, the points leader having another decent run in the top five for this one. Tommy Ryan comes away fourth, while Timothy Barnes rounds out the top five with a strong run for him as well. Tyler Dalton came away with a sixth place spot. He had some good moments, some bad moments, but it's still good enough to get him a top 10. Jeff Ward, he had a lot of bad luck at the start of this one for today's race here for the Martinsville 250, but he still worked his way through adversity to work his way into the top 10 for a seventh place finish. Devin Serra, he comes away in eighth, Matt Murphy in ninth, and Brody Hayes rounds out your top 10. Sean.
All right, then we're going to slide on to 11th. It's going to be Gerald Livingston. Devin Cannon with a big 12th place finish tonight. Stephen Herring will finish 13th, and he will be the last car on the lead lap. 14th, going to go to Woody Mahan. Tough night for Woody and the Jewel. John Wilco going to finish 15th. 16th, going to go to Thomas George. Rich Jetty with a tough night. 17th, Troy Haight. An even tougher night for him, unfortunately. Troy 18th. James Grohula, disconnection issue early, sends him off track and out of the race. 19th. Hashtag Adam Blattel. I don't know what happened to Adam. He just never got started in 21st. Another car who didn't get started, and that was Jonathan Lawrence. It was in practice. He qualified. He didn't qualify, but he was in practice, and then for whatever reason decided not to race. But I know you would love to talk to our winner, Justin, so let's get him in here now. Scott Eckridge and Justin, go for it, buddy.
Thank you very much, Sean, and welcome to Victory Lane, Scott. Talk about another victory for you, and that one, it took a lot of work, that's for sure. Describe us what was going through your head after that final restart in that battle for the victory with Ricky Harden.
Oh, I straight up told my teammates that I didn't think I was going to be able to get around him. It's just super, super, super hard to get a run on the outside. I knew my only chance is if, I was just going to try to stay patient behind him, try not to buzz the tires off, and then, make a run at him, 30, 40 laps into it and see, and hope he had burned enough tire off trying to stay in front of me that I could get something to work.
Yeah, and that was definitely interesting to watch that battle as you were patiently waiting for that one mistake, and then you ended up diving into the turn 3 and finally was able to make it by. But before all that, of course, you had led a lot of laps, to say the least. 210 of the 250 laps were led today. What kind of work does it take to try and hit your marks the right way and have the patience and the skill to make sure you don't make a mistake on long green flag runs and essentially in pit lane, for the most part, to get all those led laps that helped you with the victory as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is a right rear track. It's like a lot like Dover in that sense. You just have to take care of the right rear, and you have to start taking care of the right rear right away. So our strategy tonight was just to get us a little gap, half second or so, and then just work on everything we could do to save that right rear, could keep the temps down as much as possible. Don't buzz the tires up off the corner, because it only takes a few of those and suddenly, everyone's faster than you. And then, you're holding somebody up and they might bump you a little bit. And then next thing you know, you're in a wreck or something like that and your day's over.
I definitely agree with you on that. And how are you feeling about after that long race as well? For example, Tyler Dalton just mentioned that his leg actually started cramping the last 75 laps. Did you have something like that, if you don't mind me asking, with this kind of a long race, 250 laps, going in and out basically in these tight turns?
Yeah. I'm kind of a dum-dum, and I use my big toe to brake, and that's it. And that's a little rough. 250 laps here. Everything starts aching a little bit. Us sim racers are athletes too, I swear.
Yes, I kind of agree with you on that, because even though you have the arguments in some cases, you still have to have the physicality to sit through a race like this. But is there anybody you want to thank for this victory for your 70 machine today? Especially another victory today as well for Loud Pedal Motorsports.
Oh yeah, like you just said there, Loud Pedal Motorsports, all the guys, it's been a good year for us. We've got a lot of victories between, most of our drivers. And I think every one of our drivers has got to win somewhere in PRL this year. And it's been a really good year. And we're just looking to just get Brian this championship and finish out this year on the high note.
Thank you very much for the time, Scott. Go celebrate your victory and go put some ice on whatever it's aching at this point after this long race. Scott Eckridge with today's victory for the Martinsville 250. And with that, we're going to go to our second place man. Sean has him. Sean?
Yeah, I've caught up with Ricky Harden. Ricky, you let him by, man. What happened?
Man, I did all I could to hold him off. You knew he was faster than me, and I just ran the line I knew I had to run. I got Luke here hanging out with me. I ran the line I knew I had to run to try to hold him off, but he got a good run on the outside and then kind of crossed me under, and I knew he was probably not going to lift there, so I just moved up and gave him the lane, and he actually came up and hit me. But, that's racing at short tracks. I don't really blame him.
Is Luke listening?
Absolutely.
Luke, I am your father. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist doing that. It's so bad, Ricky. I'm sorry, man. Tell Luke I'm sorry. Tell your wife I'm sorry. All right. Listen, man, that was a great race. Unacceptable seemed to really have it dialed in tonight. Of course, you've got Ricky right up there with you. What happened to James? Any idea yet? Do we know what happened with him?
He dropped. His connection went south, and he just fell out and never came back.
Wasn't able to get it back. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It was a lot of fun watching you get around that track tonight. And listen, man, you're third in points. You put a little more distance between yourself and Tyler Dalton there. Not a whole lot because, I don't know if you saw there, but Tyler had a pretty good run himself. So, but every little bit helps at this point. Your third place is not safe, I would say. What do you think about that heading down the stretch here?
Oh, I agree. I think Tyler and I are probably pretty even at good gracious, at Rockingham, but he's a lot better than me in Atlanta. And I felt like I was a lot better than him here, and he managed not to lose a lot. So.
Well, listen, we're going to let you go celebrate with your son and the family, and we appreciate you coming in and talking with us. Any thoughts before we head to Rockingham next week?
Yep. Thanks to all the guys. Thanks to Scott for a good race up there. Thanks to Brian for setting us up every week, and James for all he's done, and Kyle Barnes for coming in. And thanks to Unacceptable Racing. Go check us out on Facebook, Unacceptable Racing. And thanks to all my team.
When can we look forward to the Unacceptable Racing highlight video this year?
We'll have to find somebody to make it.
Okay. Okay, Ricky. We'll see you next week at the Rock, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
That was Ricky Harden. And Justin, you have caught up with one Mr. Brian Yazik. Big third place finish for him, our championship leader right now.
Yes, it was a good third place finish for him, but of course on the last restart, he came out of the pits first, and it was an intense battle really for the lead, where Ricky Harding came out in the end with the lead after that restart. Brian, what was going through your head during that restart, and what exactly really happened?
What was going through my head was don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. And what happened is I choked. So it's kind of like, don't hit the red button, and sure as hell I hit the red button. So no, we just sent it way too hard into turn one there on that initial on that what ended up being basically the final restart. Thought I don't know, thought the brakes were going to hold me, but I forgot we also had a whole lot of rear brake dialed into it. So it was just a whole lot that went wrong, but I'll take a third. I'm mad at myself, but I guess if I'm going to be mad at myself over a third place finish, that's not a bad thing, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing. A lot of people would love to be in the top three. Yeah, and some people might run off with the participation trophies after, but in all seriousness here, of course, you had a lot of good runs during this race. You were in the top 5 for a lot of it, really. Talk about how it was for you to try and manage the tire wear throughout this race, and to try and be patient, essentially, on making your moves through the field, because you eventually had worked your way from, I believe it's near the end of the top 10, all the way to second at one point before that pit stop situation.
Yeah, we, just kind of as it progressed on, I was kind of overzealous with thinking how much the tires were going to wear. So I put myself in that spot to begin with, coming off of that. But, we kind of got through there. But the biggest thing was, Scott and I were talking about it Scott and I were talking about it over TeamSpeak. And the biggest thing was just to not piss off that right rear tire. So that was the biggest thing that we were really focusing on. And the first run, I was too aggressive. That second really long run, I kind of figured something out of what I wanted to do. And I realized once I got back in third, after the dust settled on that restart, that about 30 laps was about where it was going to come in. So when we restarted with 40 to go, we were there, and I think I needed one more lap to get around Ricky and put her up into second place. But it was tough. You really had to get a run on guys in order to set them up really good to get the move and get the momentum and to get by them. But all in all, we're happy. We were able to get up there with our HPP simulation Ford Fusion, and another step closer to the championship.
And speaking of that championship, you gained another 5 points on second place, man. Tommy Ryan, you now have an 80-point gap for the season standings here. But just a couple quick questions here. How are you feeling after this race? Because you have Tyler Dalton mentioning his left leg ended up bugging him in the final 75 laps. The big toe for Scott Eckridge was aching a little bit after that long run. How are you feeling after that one?
I feel great. Right knee hurts a little bit, but it's just that's more so of a product of how I've got my pedals set up. And when you get into a long haul like that, these longer races kind of bother it a little bit. But I'll live. But yeah, 80 points. Wow, that pretty much. We were talking. I kind of talk about it to Scott there at the end. Pretty much, if we show up next week at Rockingham and turn on the engine, we're going to be sitting pretty good and clinch. So that's kind of amazing. In all honesty, I can't get over that because of how the season started. We were terrible in probably the first half of the first segment, and then things started clicking with the new build, and that kind of reset everything for everybody because I came off of last week, and I lost my train of thought. I was looking at something, but
There you go, Yazzie.
I was going. The build reset everything for everybody because I was up in the booth last year, so I didn't, I didn't drive this Cup car a whole lot last year. So when I came in at the beginning of the year, everybody that had experience was dusted me, and I was struggling trying to figure it all out. But build worked, and we're here, and I can't believe we're at a spot where the championship is within our grasp. Really shows a lot to the league and to the competitors. Tommy's a hell of a competitor. It's nice. Devil's advocate, I wish a couple more guys would have hung on throughout the year, would have made it a little bit more interesting. But all in all, I'm not going to complain. Not going to lick a gifted horse in the mouth.
Definitely some good words there. Thank you very much for this opportunity, I should say, to speak with you after this one. Is there anybody you want to thank for not only the top 3 finish here, but as you said, for just about clinching this championship for the Patriot Fire Cup Series tonight?
Just thanks to Mark Hargett, HPP Simulation. He came on about the middle of last year, came on board and kind of took me on as a driver, and it's nice to be able to kind of repay that as time has gone on. So just Loud Pedal Motorsports is going to be awesome to get our championship in the first year that we've come out. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty much that. We'll tune on in next week, and once we're done here, everybody go hang out over at the Lionheart broadcast. That's going to be a hell of a race to as a nightcap as well. So we'll see you all next week, and I'm sure we'll be a little bit more energetic next week as it boils down. I almost forgot new sponsor, Scott Eckridge Chassis. We got that special rub on things on these short track programs. So we'll turn up next week.
Thank you very much for the time, Brian, and have a good night, sir. Brian Yazik finishing 3rd place, but Sean, of course, with 2 races to go next week, bringing the American 250, then the season finale, the Patriot Fire 300. What are your thoughts really going on into the final 2 races of this season?
Well, you know what? I think we said it at the beginning at the top. There's a really great battle going on between 2nd and back to 8th. So there's still plenty to watch and plenty to keep track of. But I definitely, if I could give anybody any real advice, go on over and watch the Lionheart Retro Series right now, because they've got a crazy race going here at California with the Lotus 79s just wide open. I'm looking at about 14, 15 cars right now, just slicing and dicing all over this track. It's a beautiful, colorful scene under the nighttime sky. Don't miss it. Get over there now.
Think that is definitely a good idea for sure if you're a fan of racing, especially iRacing on the GSRC. But before we head out, we'd like to ask you to come see us again for the Patriot Premier Racing League on Thursday night on November 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time when the Patriot Fire Cup Series visits Rockingham Speedway. That one's going to be an exciting race for sure once again, but we also like to thank everyone from the drivers to the organizers of the Premier Racing League for coming here tonight and putting on what was an absolutely tremendous show and an exciting race to watch. We'd like to also thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed right here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Elcombe and Casey Milan who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. I'd like to also say thank you to the team for today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. We also have a lot of upcoming races of our other list series listed now on your screen, so check those out and mark them on the calendar. Meanwhile, the Lionheart Retro Series is also going on currently on GSRC. That is currently on lap number 40, and they are in fact 3 wide right now, battling for position. Check that one out right now, if you please. Now, with that though, until next time, for Sean, Amjad, and Dougie, I'm Justin Prince, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.